Welcome back, everybody, to the 20th episode of the Illegal Formation Podcast for your Week 12 instant reaction. I'm your host, Scott. Joining me today is Dan, the Eagles fan. Dan, how you doing?
Bro, you know what I mean? It was a rough one today. We'll talk about it, though. There's a lot of things that, I like to get off my chest, of course. So let's get to it.
Yeah, but we are going to hold off on that one just in case our good friend Joey decides to show up and give his take. Although when the time comes, I want you to go first. But to start things off, we are going to talk about Bears-Steelers. The Bears pulling this one out 31-28 and improving to 8-3, retaining first place in the NFC North. Caleb Williams once again. He had some pretty big mistakes in this one, actually. He had a fumble that got recovered for a touchdown in his own end zone. And then Swift, he had a fumble too. Caleb, he did have one sack that looked kind of bad, but other than that, he was super evasive in this one, which is something we've been seeing more and more as the years gone on, and is something that actually makes me believe in the Bears as much as I've sort of, told everyone to hold their horses, based on their schedule. That is something that gives me a lot of faith in this team in terms of their upside. So that is really good to see, especially against the Steelers defense, especially after having a mistake like that. And it was great. Obviously, 31 points of offense with those mistakes, being in there is a really good production. So really good game from Caleb. They do manage to sort of squeak by in this one on offense. The Steelers, they did not have Aaron Rodgers. DK got hurt in this game. And the Steelers offense was still able to put up some points. So in terms of the Bears defense and just their overall team, I think there could be more impressive wins, but just seeing them at 8-3 and the way Caleb looks in this Ben Johnson offense, it just has to get you excited. So Dan, I kind of want to know your reaction on this game, and if you think the Bears are actually the best team in the NFC North.
I think they're actually really good right now. I think they're pretty pretty solid team overall. I'm not even gonna lie to you, like for them to be able to, for Caleb to have a fumble six in a very, very like crucial situation, and that didn't like mess him up, that kept him, he still stayed in the game, he was still
Right.
able to like dice up the Steelers defense. It was something that genuinely that kind of shows the difference between like the good quarterbacks and the great quarterbacks, to be able to stay like in the game and still be able to like get the job done essentially.
Right.
And overall with the Bears, I feel like people don't like pay attention to them because they've been the Bears for so long. But it's like this team, what, 8-3 right now?
8-3.
They're actually
place.
like, yeah, they're first place in the division. So it's like the respect needs to be there, and the acknowledgement really needs to be there. They're gonna play the Bears this week, coming up on Black Friday. So it's like you're really gonna, I guess, you like see the tale of like how good this team really is. Just because the Steelers, of course, didn't have Rodgers, and I feel like that was gonna be a big thing. Like, oh, we're really gonna test the Bears defense and validate them off of what's it called, Mason Rudolph and his capabilities of throwing the ball, even though yes, they've done good against like
a backup.
He's a what?
I said he's okay, but he's a backup.
He is a backup, yeah, 100%. So because but once we see the Bears against that setting, because I believe the Eagles are going to be playing them in Chicago, if I remember correctly, where that game should be.
I'm doing my best to check for you right now.
Awesome. Well, regardless, yeah, no, that's going to be a really big test for Caleb Williams. He's a really good scrambler, but now it's like, how good is the Bears O-line against the Eagles front? How is, like,
right,
a lot of these things really going to, like, take place in a sense? That's what I'm really curious about when it comes to the Bears.
Yeah,
but I think they're legit. I think Ben Johnson, like they said, he is an offensive wizard. I love his creativity on offense personally, and I think that's what allows the Bears to be so special, and it's gonna be like that for like a long time. Like his playbook changes every year.
Yeah, and he's dealt with Goff, and he's a much different quarterback from Caleb Williams in terms of like what they're capable of. And it seems, it may have taken some time, but he's as much drama as there was early in the year about Caleb Williams' development. It seems like that's just a thing of the past, and it seems he's arriving before our eyes. That there's going to be some lousy mistakes by even the best quarterbacks. If he can show us the ceiling, then I'll buy in. But I agree with you. I do kind of want to see it in a more important setting than against Mason Rudolph and his Steelers. Although they did put up 28 points on their offensive end. So as far as Caleb Williams goes, I'm actually kind of in on him. It's more so the Bears that I'm still sort of they. You are right. People are holding back on them, but badly run organizations, they have that effect. But I think it actually might be a turning point. So
for sure,
good for them. The Steelers, they fall out of first place in the AFC North. So in terms of their effects and how this affects them, I think this is really bad because Baltimore, they're tied at 6-5, but they hold the lead because they're 2-0 in the division, and the Ravens get to finish out with a lot of these division games, and I think they're better than most of these teams. So things are looking kind of grim for the Steelers. They really need Aaron Rodgers back if they're going to do anything this year and hold on to a playoff spot. But that's enough of Bears Steelers. Let's move on to another exciting game. One that I think it's very ironic that Joey is not here for this one. The Chiefs and the Colts. Man, this one was pretty crazy. You had the Chiefs going into overtime and winning 23-20, and for a while there, it was looking pretty ugly for the Chiefs. I mean, I was going back and forth in the group chat with Joey, talking about this game, and I agreed with a lot of what he was saying. The Colts look really good. Their defense.
You said that was my score prediction, 23-20.
No, that was my score. Or no, that's the score that happened.
Oh, that's what that happened. Okay.
The score prediction that I had for this game was pretty close. Yours, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but at least for me, in this one, I had 24-23. So I was kind of in that realm of scoring. But like I said, this one was not your average game. It was 14-9 going into half, Indianapolis lead. And then the Colts score 6 more points and shut out the Chiefs in the third quarter. So it's looking really, really ugly. The Colts are up 20-9. And then in the fourth quarter, the Chiefs, they really turned it on. It seemed all of their adjustments, and everything that at least I had faith in this team really came through in the biggest moment. This wasn't a must-win game in theory, but if you win this one, that is so huge because you only needed to win, I would say, 5 of the last 7, and this was one of the ones that you could justify losing. So it's just so big for them. They go down, they score a touchdown, and get the 2-point conversion to Rashee Rice, and then they're only down by a field goal, and it's 20-17. So the Colts get the ball back, and it seemed for the whole fourth quarter, Daniel Jones and this offense, they may have gotten like 1 first down across that stretch because they were just completely shut down. And he looks like he had a decent day on the stat sheet, 181 and 2 touchdowns, but 19 for 31 when it came to completions, and that really shined through. 5 for 13 on third down, the Colts, and I think they may have only gotten 1 third down, like I said, in that fourth quarter because they just couldn't do anything. And they just kept giving the Chiefs the ball back. Eventually they got the game-tying field goal, and then in overtime, Mahomes, he had kind of an ugly game, and in overtime it almost cost him because he missed Kelsey, who was wide open, but then he hits Worthy past midfield, and then they get the field goal for the win as the Colts already had the ball to start overtime and just continued to do nothing. So the Chiefs kind of reestablishing confidence, in themselves, defeating an 8-2 football team with the best run game in the league, I'd say, and tightening up in the fourth quarter and showing why, having that quarterback and the disciplined coaching is something that they have relied on for years that just isn't going anywhere. So the Colts, they're still in first place in the AFC South, but this was one that you really hated to see them lose. The Jags are 7-4 now, so they're only 8 games behind, and the Texans 6-5, so only 2 games behind. So the Colts all of a sudden not a lock for first place, the 2 seed or anything like that. So a very, very impactful game in terms of the AFC playoffs. Dan, what's your overall reaction to this game As you know, we had so much discussion about this Chiefs team last week, but you were in agreement with me that they should remain a top 10 team. So, what were your emotions kind of in between me and Joey's
it was like
point of
watching
view?
the Colts absolutely shut them down for a long period of time, but then seeing the Mahomes effect of like they're still not out of it. If you could say they have a chance of making the playoffs, it's like I'm still gonna say they have a chance to make the playoffs. Like I'm not gonna put the disrespect of a guy who made like 3 Super Bowls in a row. You know what I mean? So to like have them there and keep them there, that's where it's like I'm gonna have to like you still have to like keep them there because there's still a chance. They're always gonna like find a way, especially in games where again you allow them to stay in it. If they're having a rough time, that's where the defenses need to shut the door. But if they can find a way and they can go and slam on you, and not be able to do it or not be able to get it done, then Mahomes is gonna capitalize. He's gonna make it happen. And guess what? He did on this situation against a team who was the first seed. And now you could see like playoff time that happens. Like, we only saw playoff Daniel Jones once on the Giants. He was able to do it against the Vikings. It's a different story when you play Sam Darnold and you play Patrick Mahomes. It's a whole different scene, a whole different type of game, and especially the AFC playoffs. I'm expecting either it's going to be one of the biggest flops that they're going to start questioning, can Daniel Jones stay, or if it's going to be something of, oh, do we need to keep building around him? Are the weapons that we have not good enough to be able to get him there? Like what are we going to say? If the Colts flop, what do you blame? Kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think it will kind of come down to Daniel Jones because they're going to look at the cast of weapons, the coaching, obviously the run game, and I don't know what else you're going to point at because from what we've seen from Daniel Jones is he's had some turnover worthy plays start to appear on a weekly basis that weren't there early on in the season, and that was exactly what you didn't want to see if you were going to be in on this Colts team, because what I think ultimately is going to happen is we could see a boosted version of Daniel Jones in this year's playoffs that we saw in comparison to the Giants playoff Daniel Jones, where, you know, maybe he wins that first game because the Colts are just a much better roster than the opposing team that they're going against. But then in the second round, they're going to verse a team like this Chiefs team that's just so experienced in this moment. And, you know, as we can see, you know, talent or not, they're able to beat them in a situation like this where they need to. And I think Daniel Jones, you know, if this was a playoff game, the takeaway would be Daniel Jones fell apart in the fourth quarter, and so did the Colts offense. And, you know, if they had a different guy, they would have had more options available. I hope, you know, for Daniel Jones' sake that, you know, he can sort of defeat these allegations. But for me, he's kind of in that Sam Darnold tier where he and Trevor Lawrence, where they still really got to show me something in the playoffs. I think Sam Darnold is leading that tier, but then again, Daniel Jones has actually won a playoff game, and so is Trevor Lawrence. So very interesting trio, I would say, of quarterbacks in terms of like how they rank amongst the league. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, as far as the ranking, I've always seen T-Law as a top tier quarterback. I think he was fantastic at Clemson. I'm a Clemson fan, so you can say I'm biased. But also too, I also look at it like, T-Law has been given opportunity after opportunity. Sam Darnold had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, Hawkinson. Like, he had weapons. This is the first year I would say Daniel Jones has had true, undeniable, crazy ass weapons. But back in the day, what? It used to be Shepard and Saquon,
That was pretty much it.
and
Odell,
that was
Odell,
basically it.
yeah.
That's all he had. It's like you've been able to see numerous like sample sizes of T Law and Sam Darnold with dangerous weapons and with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like we're still battling whether or not can we do this or not. I'm just genuinely curious about what Daniel Jones looks like with weapons now in the playoffs.
Yeah, in the playoffs, I think it could look different because we saw, at least in the Vikings game, he could play at a high level. I mean, it was his. You got to remember, he wasn't working with a lot either. If the Vikings defense was bad, well, the Giants offense was bad too. That was the best game he had all year, and it was in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I hope for Daniel Jones' sake that he gets it done. When it just comes to the scope of the NFL, I'm just like I said, if there's one thing on the Colts I think it's going to get them, it's going to be that. All right, moving on to the next game. That is going to be the Giants and the Lions. Now this game was absolutely insane. The Lions
Uh-huh.
take it home 34-27 in overtime. The Giants fall to 2-10 and currently hold the second overall pick behind the 1-10 Tennessee Titans. In this game, it was great last week from Jameis Winston, but this week it was even better. It was super Jameis this week. He had a phenomenal game, and so did Wan'Dale Robinson. He was absolutely spectacular through all 4 quarters of this game, and man, did he take a beating, but he made clutch play after clutch play. He had 9 for 56 and a touchdown, and it felt like every quarter he caught like 2 corner routes for like 25-yard gains against this Lions defense. And the way it looked early on was the Giants were absolutely dominating. In the first quarter, they hold them 10-0. In the second, the Lions start coming back, and we enter half 20-17. And then unexpectedly, the third quarter, both teams are shut out. So you kind of thought, oh man, the Lions are already only down 3 at half. Like, they're going to come back and win this game. But then it was like, oh, we don't really know what's happening right now. And then the Giants, they go ahead and they have the Jameis Winston pass where he catches it and does a spin move to break a tackle into the end zone. It was Gunnar Olszewski, I always struggle to say his name, who threw it, who stepped up after scrambling on like this reverse play. And that was just like I said, that was just in the fourth quarter. Jameis Winston had 366 passing yards throughout this entire game. 2 passing touchdowns, but an interception that was just so inevitable. Really brought the Lions back into this game. And it's unfortunate because, the Giants had a real chance to win this game. And we can debate the
No. I genuinely do think that, like, to me, to see how close it was. One, there's 2 things that really shock me and make me laugh all the time. The fact that Jameis, for however many years when he was Buccaneers, was playing like this when he was blind, and he said he could barely see past the line of scrimmage because he always wears glasses and he needed to get laser eye surgery to start throwing. And now that he did it, and you see him against the Lions defense, which is, listen, it's a notable defense. Like, it's freaking solid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and the Giants
but
don't have great weapons.
and the Giants don't have like a lot of weapons to be able to do this stuff. You know what I mean? So they were playing. I think to me it was one of those things where, again, trap game for the Lions, that they thought that what the Eagles did of the first time we played, we could just come in here, play very simple football,
Right.
and be able to come
And
out
just
on
be
top.
better.
And guess what? It was like, yeah, we're just gonna clap. And they said that's not what happened. We were sitting here absolutely questioning to ourselves, why are the Giants leading on the Lions right now?
Yeah.
Like, what the heck is going on? But this is where, to me, it's like I have to question, right, their like ability to do things. Because, like, to me, like, these next couple games, these next couple weeks are trap games for like the big teams in the playoffs. This week the Lions, this week too the Eagles. This one right now, this is the Rams' real test against the Bucks team. They're cooking right now from what I've seen, freaking from all these notifications. But it's like these games coming up are like to really show like where are you at, what do you need to fix, what's going on here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And to me, right now, the Lions in this case is that they get complacent with teams that they don't know whether or not, like, they'll play when it's the team that they know they're supposed to be cooking and then they know they're going to compete with. They'll ball out. The Eagles, when we played them. But then you come in playing against the Giants. Are we really going to sit here and be like, oh my God, the Giants' game plan was just so much better? No, I think the Lions genuinely came into the Ford Field being like, oh, we're going to ball out.
Yeah,
This
they
is
were
gonna be light
home.
work.
Like, that's why I was like, there's no way the Giants can, like, keep up here. Because this is the Lions' game right here. They're home, the dome, all that kind of stuff. It was the excuse when they played Philly. And I just didn't expect us to have the first and third quarter that we had. It was the second, the fourth quarter, and the overtime that I did expect. And, it was just, like, towards the end of that game, like, you just knew that Shane Bowen's defense was not going to, was going to lose you the game. A close game against the Lions, touchdown to field goal sort of game. It's like you just knew it was going to happen. And then what did happen? We go to overtime. The Lions receive the ball, and on the first play, Jahmyr Gibbs rips it right up the middle all the way for a 69-yard
I'm
touchdown.
not even gonna lie to you. When I saw 55 points, it was just like 55-point game or like 69 yard or something like that or whatever like run that he had. I'm just sitting there like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, and it's just like if this isn't the game that gets Shane Bowen fired, I don't know what is. I mean, he should have went first. It should have been him before Brian Dable. It should have been
I
Joe
agree.
Shane before Brian Dable. Joe Shane's hiring all these guys. He's managing this team and operating it. That's not what the head coach does. That's what the GM does. So he's responsible for all of this. I think Dable was the best thing we had, but Kafka honestly looking kind of solid in this game as even in overtime. The Giants had a decent drive going, but it ends in a Jameis Winston sack where as much as I love, the play extension stuff from Jameis, I think he has just a little too much faith in his offensive line because he stepped up and, Hutchinson burned around the edge and he should have known he was going to wrap around from, inside and behind and get him for the sack. So he goes down in disappointing fashion on fourth down.
For sure.
And for the Giants, honestly, I get it's a loss, but I can't feel much better about how the Giants have lost games all season. And it sounds like a really odd thing to say, but let me kind of walk you through my vision for what this season has been for the Giants and what this means for the offseason because the Giants had the toughest schedule in the league heading into the season.
Yeah.
We haven't been healthy the entire season. We've lost our most important players due to injury. We have a lot
True.
of talent though on defense and offense. Clearly, honestly, we have some talent with our quarterback room. With Jameis and Dart is pretty good. The running back room is deep with Tracy. Backing up Scadaboo. But overall, I think we're losing really close games to really good teams, and I can't help but express how if I was a coach and I was trying to find the right team that is just a coach away, I would want to find these teams that are losing these close games that clearly have talent and have playmakers. And it just seems like they just stumble and fall apart at the end of these games. Because you say, well, that's where
So
I
who
could
do
come
you
in.
want as your new head coach?
So I'm looking at a couple guys. I would say Clinton Kubiak, the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator. But he's done the past 2 seasons has been really impressive. Josh Grizzard of the Buccaneers, he's the offensive coordinator. He's kind of from that Rams tree. He's kind of following in the footsteps of Liam Cohen and Dave Canales before him. So I would like a piece of that. You know what I mean? That seems like it's cut from a pretty good cloth. And then I've also I don't know how interested Chris Shula, the Rams defensive coordinator, is in
Mhm.
being a head coach. But the way that Rams defense 2 years ago was looked at as a major concern, and they drafted
Yeah.
a lot of people, dudes that people were questioning, and it worked against what most people thought was going to happen. And the past 2 seasons, they've just improved and improved and improved. And now, as we speak on primetime, they're shutting out the Bucks 21-0. And I just want a piece of this Rams coaching tree, whether it's Chris Shula, Grizzard, or I'm not sure how Clint Kubiak is related, and if even the Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. Those are 4 guys I would look at. I heard a report today that apparently the Giants might be looking to trade for a head coach, which would eye Mike Tomlin for me. The Steelers, you could kind of see after Rodgers. And kind of the whole Ben Roethlisberger era, and just like this, the way the ship has been going has been led by Tomlin. If they really want to kind of reset, get a new quarterback and all that, if you kind of want to move on from having the highest paid defense and all this stuff, and kind of having a new era, I could see them moving on from Tomlin and possibly trading him to the Giants. So that's actually 5 guys that I would like. I would like all 5 of those guys because with Tomlin, it's like okay, now we know the defense is going to be really really good. And we just need an offensive coordinator who's going to be interested in Jackson Dart, which I think they absolutely are. I think these coaches are going to say, look at what they have coming back next year. Look at how well they played this year, even despite not having that stuff. These coaches, they suck. We can do such a better job. So I'm actually sort of feeling pretty optimistic. And like I said, Giants hold the 2nd overall pick. So that, along with all I just said, is a reason coaches are going to want to come here. And if we lose games like this all year, I'll be happy, to be honest. And some people are going to hate that and talk about culture wins and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, I'm out on that mindset because we've had culture wins the past couple of years. And where has that gotten us? What's gotten us somewhere is having these high draft picks that get us good players. So let's get some more of that. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
All right.
Not for real. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, like just as a genuine football fan, to me, I think you guys need to start like investing heavily, not in the weapons, but also like your protection. You got Dart, you want to keep him for years. Build your O line, like
Yeah.
tremendously at this point. Whether it's trading for it, whether it's drafting it. You know what I mean? And like I don't know how well your offensive line coach is, but it's really hard to
Carmen
like scale that,
Basillo,
especially if
he
you
should
don't
come
have
back.
like yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like if you like because to me I guess because you guys haven't had the quality like of protection for the however many years. Like
It's whenever
it's
Andrew
hard.
Thomas is hurt.
Yeah,
It never it's a disaster whenever he's hurt. We saw that early this year. We saw that the past 2 seasons, and we've seen
mhm.
the line's actually okay. It's not bad with Thomas in there and the rest of the line staying fairly healthy. And I agree. I think as much as I would like Carnell Tate out of Ohio State to be lining up next to Neighbors with Wandale in the slot, I think a guard is probably what we need the most out of anything in the first round or and maybe even a center in the second round because JMS, I'm not sure how confident I feel in him, but that's enough about the Giants offseason and kind of my takeaway from this theme we're seeing from them this season because they do this to everybody. It's honestly it can't be such a surprise anymore because this is just what they do. But what was a surprise to me this season is the Patriots and the Bengals. In this game, the Patriots, they only won 26-20, and in this game, the Patriots lose Will Campbell, who's carted off the field and had a towel over his head. He looked very upset, so it does not look
Mhm.
good. And they missed Milton Williams in this game. Chase Brown had over 100 yards, and it was just a really weird game for me from the Pats, and for a team that we're kind of projecting as this top 5 team, losing 2 key guys in the trenches. Are you concerned at all about what that could mean for this team moving forward and their ceiling and what people talk about when it comes to their playoff chances and how
For
far
sure,
they could
100%.
go?
Because like I feel like to me the old line is where like you said like you build from the line back, and that's just me like watching my team like how they've been for the past couple of years, and just overall like just I feel like regular football, how do I say like knowledge is that the O line, like the front line, is the most important. And getting drafting a guy first round who I feel like genuinely has been a staple to that O line,
Yeah.
it's kind of showing that one, that's a really big momentum killer. Two, the energy in the room, like you saw with the Giants when Scatterboo got hurt, it's like it really
Yeah.
kills like the energy of just like, oh my god, what the heck just happened? And for May to struggle so hard against the Bengals, you could see it's like the mood is shifting. Like Diggs was barely active today, and it's very, very interesting seeing that just because like that one player getting hurt changed a lot of the outcome for like the Patriots and their rhythm. And it's not even just one guy on offense, one guy on defense, but they're both very, very, I guess, in like I would say, very important key parts to this what's it called, this team.
Yeah.
So genuinely, it could just change everything for them, and also it could have changed from the confidence to Drake May. It could change the stability inside the O line. It could change the confidence of your defensive line if they're not able to get a lot of these pass breaks, getting double teamed more often because there's nobody that they feel like could actually take advantage and do all this stuff. Like,
Yeah, a lot can go wrong. And Will Campbell was playing at a really high level and exceeding expectations and defeating the arm length allegations before all of this, living up to his quote of saying he'll live and die to protect Drake May. But now without him, we'll find out more about what that injury is. But if he's out for the season or at least on IR and Milton Williams is on IR, this team's going to have a tough go at it to finish out the regular season.
for
And
sure.
hopefully they can just both be back in time for the playoffs and be there to kind of continue this amazing run from them because they are still 10-2 and they're the 1 seed. So it's not like they're going to fall out of the playoffs, but I could definitely see them losing to both the Ravens and the Bills later on this season. All right, moving on to the next game, we got Seahawks at Titans. In this game, the Seahawks, they pulled away early in this game, and then the Titans sort of came back. The final score was 30-24. And then this game, I thought Cam Ward actually looked a lot better, especially considering what he had and what he was going against in the Seahawks defense. And, for a guy like him to kind of put up 24 points, even if 21 of them were in the second half, it still is pretty impressive. I mean, they were 6 of 17 on third down. I honestly don't think that's too bad. 4.4 yards per play is not great, but I don't know what else you would have expected. There were a lot of penalties from both teams in this game, which has actually been a really common theme for the Seahawks this season, is having a lot of penalties. And I think that's something that they're not going to get away with for much longer. It's going to cost them 11 for 69 for the Seahawks and then 10 for 63 for the Titans. So pretty ugly game. Both teams converted 2 of their red zone trips. And the Titans actually possessed the ball for 37 and a half minutes to the Seahawks 22 and a half. So I would say a lot of that has to do with JSN having like those really long touchdowns. So those drives were just obviously not very long for the Seahawks. And that's not really always a bad thing. But I think it's just impressive the way Cam Ward was able to play in this game today. You know, his final stat
It was just
line.
impressive that he was still willing to stay in it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like the fact that he didn't just lay on his back and just say, "My team sucks. That's what we're gonna call it." It's like, no, he looks at every single drive as like, this is the game, or we're gonna take the L kind of thing. And I love that mentality of him personally. Like, I genuinely think give him a couple years, actually invest in him. I'm talking about like actually, not like Justin Fields investing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna get him one wide receiver, not give him a single single O line, and like give him decent running backs
And call it a day.
and call it a day. Like, no, I'm saying like genuinely invest in this man, bro. Like, just like Caleb Williams. And I think if Caleb Williams and Cam Ward switch teams for one freaking day, Cam Ward would look like an absolute like monster.
I think I don't see him being any worse than Caleb Williams has been. I think he has all the potential to be better. Although Caleb Williams' sack avoidance has been extremely impressive, I will say that.
I agree. That is true.
I think Cam Ward might be a little sharper, but that's speculation, to be honest. But he was in college longer, so. But in this game, he was 28 of 42. So that's a lot of pass attempts, but 28 completions is a lot as well. 258 or 256 passing, a passing touchdown, and then he was the Titans leading rusher, 6 for 37 on the ground and a rushing touchdown with a long of 14. So really putting the team on his back, doing everything he could late in this game to try to claw and scratch and claw, but I don't think anyone really expected this Titans team to do much against the Seahawks team, and ultimately, I'm just that was my biggest surprise and takeaway from this game. The Seahawks, they didn't look that great, but they still won the game pretty convincingly. All right, moving on to the next game. That is Packers at Vikings. So you wanted me to watch this game very closely, and I did. The Packers ended up winning 23-6. 9 only musters 6 points in this game against the Packers. And honestly, that probably was something that was pretty easy to see coming just from the way the Vikings have been playing. And, the way the Packers defense has been able to shut down vulnerable offenses, that is something we have seen this season. So it should have been something we expected in this game. Due to the Packers underperforming so far this season, it wasn't something we were that confident in. But they kind of, managed to do that. Even without Josh Jacobs in this one, Emmanuel Wilson, 2 touchdowns, solid pickup for anyone who had him in fantasy. Just for the Vikings, like, J.J. McCarthy and this whole situation is just, like, so embarrassing. Like,
No, it is. And to me, it's agitating because I know everybody's like, oh, look at the score. It's like the Vikings were put into shitty situations every single drive. They were put into the worst predicaments to actually capitalize like ever. Like, if I'm the defensive head coach, if I'm the defensive players, I'm going to 9 and I'm telling him to like check yourself or get the hell out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, multiply something, like do something.
Become
like
18.
Stop just standing there, bro. Like, and it's agitating because how do you have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Hawkinson? You have weapons. There's a lot of quarterbacks that have done more with less. Cam Ward, for example, like he's actually active on this team. Imagine Cam Ward
on this team, bro. Would be crazy. Team. He would be great.
Imagine that. But we're sitting here, just J.J. McCarthy, and we're sitting here when he throws the touchdown, and he's just in there like all hype and ish like that. It's like, homie, you literally should be doing this. Like, this is not brain. This is
was
not like
Kirk
rocket
Cousins
science.
2 years ago.
Like, bro, he throws to T.J. Hawkinson on a 5-yard out for a first down. He's like, just go home. Like, go somewhere.
Dude.
It's agitating for me. Like, and that's why to me it's like against this Packers team, the fact that they like shut him down like that, it's like, please now humble yourself. Like, now realize, right, that The Panthers, who were able to come out and absolutely run through this team,
Yeah.
absolutely shut them down. That defense, that same exact defense, just gave you BTA, bro. Like
They destroyed this Vikings team, and yeah, McCarthy, like Justin Jefferson must be so mad at him. I mean, 4 for 48 for him, 6 targets, like the way he just stalls this offense completely, 2 for 9 on third down. I mean, that's horrible.
And Justin, he's a great teammate. Still being like, I still believe in him. I'm not gonna shit on him. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna. That is great teammate mentality. Like I enjoy that. That's great and everything. But it's like, let's be so for real here. You know what I mean? If like a cat is a cat, bro. If he is absolutely selling you, which he's done multiple games. Like if Wentz was still healthy, I'd still be keeping Wentz in there.
Yeah, I would too. You know, you want to know his stat line from today? So I mentioned 2 for 9 on third down. He was 12 of 19 for 87 yards and 2 interceptions. And on the ground, he had 2 carries for 10 yards. And they possessed the ball for 22 minutes and 45 seconds. So if I was a Vikings fan and I was watching this game, I think this would have been like up there with some of the most infuriating, like Daniel Jones, like Giants 4th string quarterback, like Tim Boyle types of games where it's just like you can't even imagine it being any worse than something like this. And for this offense that has been such a machine for so many years to look like this, with a quarterback who's he might be 22 years old, but you know what, we see guys like this, you know, at least do better than this. Like I won't say they've done amazing in the past, like quarterbacks that are that young, but you know, Drake May is like 23 years old, you know, to put it in perspective, and I think the Patriots are honestly working with a lot less than this Vikings team. So
for sure,
it's
bro,
just
Drake
like,
May.
it's just
Drake May was on this team, we'd be talking about like
something
NFC
crazy.
Championship right
now. We would. You're right. All right, that's enough Packers Vikings. Let's move on to the next one, and that is Jets Ravens. The Ravens win this one 23-10. They sort of stumble on.
The Jets were giving them work though.
They were giving them work. I thought Joey was on to something for a second there when he picked them to win.
The Jets were giving them work for a hot minute, and then the Jets did the Jets. They ran out of fuel.
Yeah, they ran out of fuel. You know, it was 7-3 going into halftime, Jets lead, and then the Ravens go 2 touchdowns, shutting out the Jets in the third quarter. So they take a 17-7 lead, and it was just over from that point. You know, there was the interception from Tyrod, so there was kind of like a crucial turnover there. And the Jets also lost a fumble. They did do a good job of running the ball and possessing it. So, like, the whole plan that they had was actually working. They held the Ravens to 2 for 11 on third down. So there were a lot of things that were working in the Jets' favor in this game. But ultimately, it was just the inevitable explosiveness of the Ravens' offense. As much as I criticize that system, you know, it does have its perks, and, you know, you can get bailed out every now and then. And Henry had 2 touchdowns to punch it in the red zone, so they are still efficient in there. But they were only 2 for 5, so it shows you how they could not do anything against this Jets defense in the red zone. You know, without Henry, you know, no Andrews, no scrambling to find Zay Flowers, no Isaiah Likely, nothing like that. So, Dan, what was your kind of main takeaway from this game? Ravens climbed to 6-5 and still kicking for the playoffs.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, like, again, like, a win's a win. So I'm going to give the Ravens that credit and everything. They definitely need to pick up the whole, like the Jets giving them work like that. Even listen, it was the old Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, and that defense was nasty that year. So it's like the Jets have something. They really need to build heavily. I think they need to stick with this head coach for a good like 5 or 6 years before you have any sort of contemplation. This dude literally starting from scratch, and he was giving Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry work for like the first 2 quarters of this game, and then they decided to just start tearing them apart. Which, hey, listen, towards the end of the game, it's really like nitty and gritty. This is like who really wants it. And listen, I expected the Ravens to want it more than the Jets at this point. You know what I mean? The Jets are playing upset ball, and the Ravens need to win this.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a funny way to
So
put it.
yeah, so the Ravens were gonna come out. They balled out. They did what they needed to do. They came out with the win. Henry balled out the way he should have. Lamar stepped up. Flowers was picking today, so I liked it. I
Flowers was
was
picking.
impressed. You like that
Sorry,
shit?
I was late.
But no, I think the Ravens stepped up when they needed to. I just need to see that now from the jump. Like to me, it's like they don't have their flow, like the flow that
Yeah.
we normally see from the run to Jackson running to throwing. It's like it's choppy. It's
What
like
they
when they
looked
want
like
to do
week
something,
one.
it takes them a little bit to start it up, and then they can roll with it. And then they want to do another thing, like they'll start running, chop it up, start good running. They want to pass it up, takes a little bit, passing starts getting money. And then Jackson, he just decides when he wants to be a runner. I'm not even gonna lie, like
Yeah. Yeah, that week one version of the Ravens seems very far away. I mean, from both sides of the ball. I mean, the defense actually looks much better, but the Ravens offense just, man, it just doesn't look the same. And it's kind of hard to know what it is.
I feel like we've been seeing a lot of ugly football from almost every single team.
And yeah, that's 100% true. I don't think there's a single team right now, except for maybe the Rams, and even they are maybe, I still kind of.
I mean, ugly football. We came back on them.
There was that, yeah. That would probably be my example. I'd be like, what the hell happened in that game? If I wanted to know what my question was about the Rams. But let's move on to a team that I do have questions on, and that is the Jaguars, who played the Cardinals and managed to win this game 27-24. But for me, that is way too close for comfort. In this game, it was really looking like the Cardinals were going to win it for the majority of the game, as it seemed like Trevor Lawrence really wanted them to win. That being the Cardinals, as he threw 3 interceptions in this game. But despite this, he was able to actually come back late in this game and bring them to overtime, to which they survived and kicked the game-winning field goal. The 3 passing touchdowns he threw were to Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, and Travis Etienne. So the offense, just like the highs are there. It's just, even without Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, the highs are there, but the lows, the 3 interceptions, really bad, but the run game was definitely effective. This is why I thought they would win this game. 5 for 86 to Etienne on the ground. That's some efficient running right there. And then as far as containing Jacoby Brissett in this passing game, another 49 passing attempts for Jacoby Brissett, completing 33 of them for 317 yards and a touchdown.
They just don't run the ball.
They just don't. They had 20 carries, but it was 10 to Bam Knight for 12 yards and a touchdown. So those were probably all near the goal line. And then you had 5 for 28 to Michael Carter and 2 wide receiver runs to Greg Dortch, and then whatever Jacoby Brissett did, 3 for 20. Michael Wilson filling in as the number 1 without Marv, 10 for 118 again. Trey McBride, 9 for 80. And overall, this
Jonathan
game,
Gannon definitely screams at them 24/7. I'm telling you, like the way the Cardinals were played almost like I'm not trying to get shat on for 4 hours in the film room, so I'm gonna just go out absolutely hammering and swinging. I'll never forget that freaking first meeting that they showed the video of him being like, "If you can't get here, get a way to get here. Take the bus." If you don't got a car,
you got that fire in your gut.
Can't take the bus, get a bike. And if you can't get a bike, walk. And if you can't walk, crawl. It's like, bro, go home. Like, this is why we left you in Arizona when we lost the first Super Bowl, okay? And now, like, I love Jacoby Brissett. Harrison Jr., I want him to succeed. McBride, bro,
he's great.
Is talented as hell. This coach is the problem, bro. I promise you.
Yeah, I like some of what they look like sometimes, the years of the Pastrana and the way it seems like he has them play pretty well at times. Like this game looked like one they should have won because of the defense, but what ends up happening is he should get the Brian Dable treatment as far as a head coach, where it's like, yeah, his side of the ball looks pretty good, but ultimately this team can't finish and win games. And although I believed in him, if they held on to him, I wouldn't.
Defensive guy, and the defense is the thing that keeps selling.
Well, they had 3 interceptions in this game.
And the score was what, though?
It was 27-24 in overtime. The offense had 0 turnovers. but they forced 3 turnovers out of the Jaguars, and they couldn't win. They were 1 for 3 in the red zone. The Jaguars were 3 for 5. So it goes both ways. It's just I agree. I think he probably should be gone. I don't think it would be the worst thing if they kept him, but just a team that's just struggled to figure it out all year, and some of maybe they look at the GM, maybe that's what I'm suggesting, but overall I just don't feel great about either of these teams coming out of this game, and I don't think the Jaguars are a top 10 team, after watching that, like, because you can make the argument that they don't have BTJ or anything like that, but like BTJ wasn't helping.
He hasn't been doing his thing.
Yeah, so it's not something I'm overall that concerned about. Next 2 games are kind of snoozers, if I'm being completely honest. That's Browns at Raiders. The Browns ended up winning this one 24-10. Acceptable timing from Shedeur Sanders. The Browns defense was utterly dominant in this one. They had 10 sacks against the Raiders. Just unbelievable. I mean, that Raiders offense is really awful.
To me, it's just like they just need offensive line. They don't buy any weapons. You got Genty because you were like, he's going to be a generational back. Make him a generational back by protecting him and being able to give him lanes to be able to run the ball. Shedeur, congrats. You made one bomb-ass throw. You versed the Raiders with your stout-ass defense. I really don't know what to add to that. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like,
yeah, they really relied on Judkins without even having Sanders on the field in the red zone, using him in the Wildcat, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns and a long of 11 on the day for only 47 yards. So the Browns' offense was still kind of, mid. Shedeur was only 11 for 20, but for 209 yards and a touchdown. He did have an interception that was really bad. But Geno Smith in this game, 30 of 44 with 285 and a touchdown. Genty, 17 for 50. He got kind of banged up in this game. Lockett was the leading receiver for the Raiders, but yeah, they only mustered 10 points in this one. They really couldn't manage to do much. 4 of 17 on third down. Like I said, they had the 10 sacks against. Just really, really ugly, and the Browns only 1 sack for 3 yards. So that's pretty much the whole story of this game here. The Raiders possessed the ball for 36 and a half minutes, and they only scored 10 points. So pretty bad game from both teams, but honestly, the Browns 3-10 or 3-8. They are now 6th overall in the draft order, and the Raiders are now 5th overall at 2-9. So, but a lot of teams that are picking near the bottom here is the next team we're going to talk about owns the 3rd overall pick, and that is the New Orleans Saints, who lost to the Falcons 24-10 in this one. And the Saints, they shuck it up. They just offensively, they were completely shut down.
Kamara got hurt, bro.
Yeah, Kamara's hurt. They're still trying to use Taysom Hill out there. It just seems kind of ridiculous at this point. Like what the way the offense looks this week compared to the way it looked the past 2 weeks. I just really wonder what the difference was. This Falcons defense has not really been consistently great, and I thought this was a game that the Saints could come in and surprise the Falcons, but ultimately their defense also wasn't really that ready for the Falcons, as the Falcons go up 20-7 in the first half of this game, and then Kirk O'Chain's getting it done. Mooney had a really deep touchdown in this one in the fourth quarter that really iced it. And it was really never that close, but that really put it away. And honestly, there's not too much that I feel can be taken away from this game. Like I said, it's just kind of the Saints continuing to be the 3rd overall pick in the NFL, and then the Falcons, who they get the win. And I'm looking at it now, and they have the 11th overall pick, and that's going to the Rams. Just imagine if they lost this game, they would have the maybe somewhere from the 6th to the 9th overall pick going to the Rams. Man, that trade just does not look good after this season. I don't know about you, Dan, but what's your reaction to this NFC South slugfest?
It's just basically like, how do I say, who wants to lose more? I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, this is like the NFC South, I feel like, is just testing who's good at football. You know what I mean? They just send players who like on their last string. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Christian McCaffrey, all these players that you're like, are they really like that? Are they really meant to be somewhere? Like, are they supposed to, like, and they ball out, they do what they have to do, and then they go to a really good team. it's been a really long time, which is why I give Cam Newton a lot more respect, that he was able to take like the Panthers to the Super Bowl.
Right.
That he was like when Baker was on the Panthers and he was actually able to like dot up some games and do like decently well with they didn't even have Leggett at the time. I think their number one at the time was Adam Thielen still. Like
Deontay Johnson too, I think.
and Deontay Johnson, yeah. So it
Might have
was
been that
like
year.
it's one of those things where I'm like, what are we like? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? Like, Chuba Hubbard, I think, was a rookie at the time, so it was like, um, and as
They
far as
have a
the
terrible
Falcons and
offensive
The
line, and the
Saints,
defense
the
is
Saints.
terrible.
Once Drew Brees left, I feel like they haven't really taken, and Sean Payton left. Like the drive to be great and do something like went right out the window. I haven't seen like the last good, really long lasting pick they had. I feel like was Chris Olave. I don't even know who they drafted this year, if I'm gonna be honest with you.
I think it was Kelvin Banks Jr., the tackle, I believe, because they went offensive line instead of Shador Sanders at 9. Let me double check that for you. Saints first rounder. Yeah, it was Kelvin Banks Jr.
Kelvin Banks Jr.
Yeah,
And to me, it's like, how is this O line doing right now? They let up how many sacks? They couldn't get nothing going on offense. Alvin Kamara is a fantastic running back, and it's like I feel like he's made a lot of things happen with very little help at some points. Like,
you're talking about Kamara.
yeah,
Yeah, I think overall, like with Kellen Moore, this is his first season. Everybody knew this was going to be like a
a hard
rebuilding,
one
kind of season.
for sure.
In this one against this Falcons team, they allowed 5 sacks. Now I will say there is a good chance that maybe 2 or 3 of those were Tyler Shuck, kind of not having great pocket awareness, because that is kind of his his glaring weakness as a quarterback is his awareness level in the pocket, and it was clear that in this one just only mustering 10 points against a team like this is just not acceptable, and that's the type of lows you can see from these guys with awkward pocket presence. Is you could just have these really bad days and can just ruin your whole offense. So yeah, I was not expecting this team to be great. I was the most confident this team would be bad this season, and I'm just overall not surprised at anything that's going on over there. All right, so that's all the games with the exception of one that we have saved for last on this occasion, and that is the Cowboys and the Eagles. Why don't you take this one, Dan, as you are a fan of one of the teams that I had the pleasure of watching today.
Chat. So let's be so for real here, okay? Um, this was a kneeling tribute. God rest his soul. Hallelujah. Rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? It's in Dallas. The Eagles are coming into a game where it's like the drama stirring, whatever the case is. There's a lot of things that are going wrong that to me, like already going into this game, as I stated in the prediction thing, that there was a lot of things that were going against the Eagles. And I even predicted that Dallas one was going to be one of those games where it's like they just squeezed it out. Like they just get by. I think my score was like 33-35 or something like that. That I was like, they're going to hit the over, but they're going to just barely make it. It's going to be like by the skin of their teeth.
Game.
And hey, look, that's exactly what happened. It's like they were able to squeeze it out. It wasn't the way that I thought they were going to squeeze it out. There was, of course, a number of things that flags went both ways. There were plays that I felt like seeing it threw me off, but also, too, there were a lot of errors that the Eagles made that absolutely agitated me. One being Xavier Gibson. We get him off the Jets. Football 101, when you get the ball punted to you and you are physically standing at the 2-yard line, you do not touch the ball. You let the ball bounce. You let it hit the touchback, and you call it a day. But they didn't score on that drive. The Eagles were able to hold them to it. Fantastic. The score that they did drive, the drive that they did score on, CD has a fantastic catch over Cooper DeJean. But we failed to notice is that CD pushed off of Cooper DeJean's face, which is either an offensive pass interference and or a legal hands to the face, because you can't do either of those things, pushing off of a corner's face. But it was not called. It was actually called defensive pass interference on Cooper DeJean. But, the play was called, whatever. It is how it is. Then, um, what's it called? The numerous times that I've probably seen Carter get through the line, and either he's getting gripped up by his jersey or Jalen Phillips breaking through the right tackle, and then he's actually getting drugged. And it's like, which, hey, listen, both ways, there were a lot of points where holdings weren't being called. But that's where I guess to me it's like if we're not gonna call things, let's not call things. But I'm also not even gonna blame it on the flags itself. It's the setting, how everything was, but also the Eagles made their own errors as well. So against a team like the Cowboys who were able to acquire all these weapons and the Eagles who right now are and my question in reality, like I feel like we're in a very big like I don't want to say like identity crisis, but that's the best way to really explain it. It's we're really questioning like, are we that team? Are we still here? Are we this? Are we that? Joey, like I agreed with Joey. This is a trap game. These are one of those games where it was like too many things were in place for us to be able to like fold and not do good. You know, we already had however many one score games. I'm happy we saw what it was like to be close with a team in a one score game and actually fold. Because in reality, later down the road into the playoffs, now that we recognize that, that's just not going to matter. We went through it, we saw it, and I would rather be in this type of situation than go into the playoffs, like you said beforehand, Scott, never be behind, never be neck and neck with a team where you have to make the plays. I thought genuinely as the Eagles fan, the play calling changed, the type of formations that we ran changed, the aggression that we had in terms of plays completely changed. Yes, did the Cowboys make adjustments? 100%. But the adjustments we made were not complementary to the adjustments that the Cowboys made. It was almost like, oh, we saw it didn't work. Okay, let's try it again. Let's see if they adjust. Okay, let's try it again. Let's see if they adjust. It's like Patullo needs to understand that we can't sit here and wait and change the form of aggression that you're having Hurts have to force things like that quick pitch to Saquon or having to break it to the outside. And also, too, like our O line is hurt. We have Friend Johnson on the outside. Steen has been a backup his whole career, like in his whole career. So it's like it's they were playing to that strength, which hey, like I give it to them. That's smart football. You should be doing that 100%. Um, so it's it's a mixture of a lot of things for me that overall I'm gonna still give it the credit to the Cowboys. They did win, yes, but I'm also gonna go and understand that hey, the Birds put themselves in bad situations, but there were things, of course, that occurred that they couldn't control when they did the repunt and they originally said, oh, they hit the scoreboard or whatever the case was up there. And then they said, "Oh, well, no, the actual call was that somebody ran out of bounds." Where was the video on that? Because 90% of the time, when they said there's a flag that occurred, something like that happens. Then they get the flag, they re-kick, the Cowboys get better field position. So it's like a lot of different things occurred in this game that I'll take like to me it's like I will go and blame the Birds because in reality it's like I'm not gonna go and get frustrated about the uncontrollables, but I'm also not going to not acknowledge it because in reality, like game time, actual for real situation where it's not oh this happened or this happened or this happened or this happened. It's like actual real like not biased things. There were calls both sides tragically horrendous. The only difference is the Cowboys got away with calls that allowed them and led them to score.
Well,
But from the Eagles' standpoint, I do blame the ish that we could not capitalize in the situation that we really should have.
yeah, I feel the Eagles really failed to capitalize in this game, and I don't feel like this penalty thing is something new to this game. This was a reason that the Giants were able to win. I think this game was very similar to the Broncos game, especially in the manner of the comeback. In this game, the Cowboys had 8 penalties against them for 70 yards. So there was, if, there were a couple that could have gone either way. There was still some, help for the Eagles offense or defense or, whichever side, they all were on. And there were 14 for 96. So, maybe you could argue that it should have been less than that. But that is still, I think, a continuation of the procedural errors of this offense. And it's not just like, oh, Jalen Hurts or whatever. Like, obviously not. It's the backups. It's the backup offensive line. and, just the frustration across this offense. And I kind of want to circle back to something you said, which was like the frustration among the team, the attitude, the energy this Eagles team has is totally different. It's like flaccid compared to like what it was last year. And I think when you posed the question the right way, when you said like the team is wondering if they are who they say they are, because I think where there's smoke, there's fire. There's some people on that team and in that building who know that this is not it. This is not going to get us to a Super Bowl like we did last year. This is not close enough to what we had. And there's some major issues and reasons why. So what are some of those reasons? Well, I think looking at this game, in the second quarter, after the Cowboys go scoreless and you guys are up 14-0, they went for it on fourth down and then they punted on a 3-and-out. You guys have two nice drives that kind of get you in, 50-yard drives at the very least. So it's not like they were short field, but then you get the short field. They have 5 plays for 34 yards before fumbling. You guys go 66 yards and score, but then they throw an interception, and then you guys punted on that drive. So you are up 21-0, and I think going 3-and-out after they threw that interception kind of erased the interception because you guys didn't do anything with that.
Exactly. I agree.
You chewed up 2 minutes.
Also, too, like Elliott missing the kick. To me, it's like every point matters, in especially rivalry games. I've already told you this guys before, and like that. I feel like when you play your rival, it's a different atmosphere. You're playing differently. You guys see each other twice a year, and there's more animosity into like these kinds of games. So it's like every point matters in these games.
And Dak has only lost 2 home games against NFC East opponents since like 2017 or whatever that stat is. And like you're right. That missed field goal. I mean, the Cowboys both missed field goals, or both teams. Aubrey missed a field goal in the third quarter after both teams started off the half with 3 punts. So it was if I didn't say it already, Cowboys scored a touchdown on a 72-yard drive before the end of half. And then, those 3 punts, and then the Cowboys miss a field goal, and the Eagles punt again. So up 2 touchdowns after the Cowboys miss a field goal, another 3-and-out. So it's just like erasing every mistake the Cowboys make on offense, or every good performance from the defense is erased by an Eagles 3-and-out. And then boom, you get the 90-yard drive by the Cowboys to make it 21-14. And then the Eagles, okay, they finally stop going 3-and-out, 7 plays, 30 yards, get in the field goal range, and it's a missed field goal. So there you highlighted that. That was definitely the turning point, because then Dallas can go tie the game. And they do that, and it's okay. The Eagles have the ball. They should be able to finish this off. Nice long drive, kick the field goal. No, they fumble in their territory. But the Cowboys didn't even score after that. They punted it, and then you guys fumbled the punt. And they went for it on fourth down after recovering that punt inside like the 10-yard line, and they did not convert. So
they were at the 2-yard line.
So they are like stopping this Cowboys offense over and over and over and over again until finally.
Like I said, that's why I said again. Like the offensive play calling changed after halftime. Nothing was adjusted. Nothing was changed. Everything, like I saw Cooper in there more than I've seen him in any seasonal game. And this is what I'm getting at. It's just like it throws me off because it's almost like they wanted to show off today, and Patul wanted to show off like, oh yeah, we can still pass the ball. And it's like, stop! Don't try to get fancy in these moments where you're trying to show your depth pieces and have them run corner routes or across the field and expect Jalen Hurts to just dot them up when they have when they're getting double covered, or they're getting draped all over against these starters on this hungry ass Dallas team. It's like, stick to the bread and butter. Keep A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson. That's all that should be out there. Maybe quick packages here and there if you got momentum going. But that's like the first couple plays of the drive. We have like the 3s and the 4s out there.
Yeah, and this game also highlighted a big flaw of the Eagles right now with the offensive line injuries. No doubt affecting this. Saquon Barkley, 10 carries for 22 yards, 2.2 yards per carry against this Dallas defense. I get they added Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, but I just find that to be completely unacceptable. I mean, it's not like they have really, really strong edge defenders. I get their rookie Donovan Ezeraku has had a decent season for them, but this Dallas defense, you know, even with the pieces they have coming back, this is like some of their first games in this entire season. So for them to be able to bottle up a run game like this that was so elite last year, Jalen Hurts was the leading rusher, 7 for 33 and 2 touchdowns. And one of those touchdowns actually wasn't a tush push. It was like a 6-yard run. So
it was a 6-yard run. He ran up the middle, yeah. He broke off like 2 tackles.
I wanted to point that out because that's a touchdown I'll actually give Jalen Hurts some good credit for, you know, because it's not that whack-ass tush push, you know. All right, so I'll highlight that for you Eagles fans out there who know me from my takes on Jalen Hurts. Yeah, he had a nice touchdown run today. But other than that, 27 of 39, you know, the second half, as you could tell, was a disaster. Third down efficiency, both teams were 5 for 12. So, you know, just an overall pretty odd game. But we all picked the Cowboys to win last week. Dan picked the Cowboys to win. I picked the Cowboys to win. Joey picked the Cowboys to win.
Like I said, when I'm on this podcast, I am such a truther about football. I'll be so real. Put the teams aside. We'll get to a point where we got to start glazing our team 100%. But when we talk about prediction, we here on the Illegal Formation podcast to be for real about it. And we're here to let you be right. And I knew it. There was just a feeling in my chest.
That's right. And, you know, there were signs that other people probably could see from, you know, the injuries. You know, the Eagles haven't been a perfect team this year, as good as they've been in the great teams they've beaten. But this Dallas team, you know, if you were paying attention to the changes that were going on and, you know, everything that they've been through as a team this season, I don't think this is that surprising. Just the way it happened, you know, the 21-point comeback, you know, this is going to go down on Dak's resume as probably one of his greatest career games, just in terms of how he managed to win it. George Pickens was an absolute animal in this game. You know, that slant he caught at the end of the game to get in field goal range was clutch as hell, and he was just dominant in every way.
If they had to decide whether to sign Pickens or CD, bro, I'm signing Pickens.
Me too.
Easy money. All day, bro. And it's like crazy because like CD was that guy, but like I said this beforehand because I was talking to somebody about this earlier and stuff, that they were like, oh, I feel like CD got complacent. Personally, I thought CD got complacent the moment he was the wide receiver one and Amari Cooper left. I think he started being like, I'm just the guy. I'm just gonna ball out and just, you know, get good catches here and there. And like now Pickens is here. He's like, now I got less of a load. Let's go. And guess what? It's showing. It's showing that in moments like this where you need him the most, yo, he be getting triggered. And like he just gets like he sells 24/7. That catch that Cooper DeJean tried to swipe out from his back, that went through his hands into his lap and then fell on the floor.
Well, I think Pickens, regardless, has definitely earned the right to be in the conversation as a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. And if we're talking about him being better than CD, doesn't that kind of put him inject him into the top like 7 sort of conversation? Like, who would you rather have right now, George Pickens or AJ Brown? I think I would take George Pickens. I think I really would take. I mean, George Pickens is 24 years old. You know, so definitely from like a franchise building perspective, you know, you would take him. But just like let's just say you wanted a wide receiver this year.
If I'm talking about like if we're talking about this year, right here, right now, yes, I can see where you're coming from. But if we're talking about franchise, like throughout their career, who am I taking? I'm still taking AJ Brown.
I'm not saying they like both start like AJ Brown is currently 28 years old. So would you rather start your franchise with a 28-year-old A.J. Brown or a 24-year-old George Pickens?
Oh, yeah, no. If I'm starting my franchise, of course I'm taking a 24-year-old George Pickens. 100%.
So, but then it gets interesting if we say, okay, if they were both 24 years old.
Oh, no, they were both 24 years old. I thought A.J. Brown was absolutely doing fantastic at 24 years old.
Yeah, he was. He was. We don't really know.
You and I were there when we were together in college at the time.
No, I agree. No, we were, but I'm saying George Pickens was on the Steelers. A.J. Brown was on the Titans. Fair. Better team, though. Better team.
Yeah.
At the time, they were a better team.
At the time, but at the same time, too, would you rather have Mike Vrabel or Mike Tomlin as your coach?
I think they're both great.
Yeah, okay, that's fantastic. That was not the question.
Well, Mike Vrabel is definitely, like, they're both defensive coaches, is ultimately, like, my point of view. Like, I just think the Titans' offense, they had Arthur Smith at the time, probably better coach than Matt Canada for the Steelers. And, A.J. Brown got traded to the Eagles early on in his career. He was probably like 25 years old when that happened or something. Like, that's about the same thing that happened with Pickens. So we're just seeing this first year of Pickens on this team, and who knows how it could proceed. Pickens is a very talented guy. We know this. So this is no big surprise that he's finally in this conversation. But that is the last game that has concluded this week. But there's almost enough going on in this primetime game, this Sunday night game, that we can actually talk about it right now. The Rams at halftime are beating the Buccaneers 31-7. So far in the game, Baker Mayfield is 9 of 19 for 41 yards, a passing touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Stafford is 19 of 23, only 4 incompletions for 210 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. No touchdown from Kyren Williams yet. I really need that for a parlay to hit. But just what do you make of this Rams' utter dominance? I mean, I had them as my number one team, and I was getting a lot of pushback. All right, so I think this is pretty impressive. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, but this is also, to me, like the second time I feel like the Bucks have actually are genuinely getting smacked. Which to me shows that the Bucks as a team, one, extremely hurt, and two, not that great, I feel like, in terms of depth. And I mean that on the defensive side, not the offensive side. I think to have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin as your old 1 and 2, and now you have a replacement in Tez Johnson and your new big guy, Ibuka. K-Dot, I think, is still a solid tight end. It's just now, like, they don't have Bucky. They're depending on Rashad White, and their defense is still, like, it's not the same that it's been for however many years now. So I feel like all that stuff is starting to show. I'm going to still give Stafford the credit here, you know what I mean? I think Devontae Adams has 2 touchdowns this game. So this Rams offense, everybody, they're getting their flow. And I think the Rams are on their hot streak. I will give you that take. I know Joey's probably going to go and fight back and be like, this is a really hurt Bucks team. Regardless, they are this Rams defense to get a pick 6 and another interception on Baker Mayfield is telling. It's like,
does this knock the Bucks out of your top 10? You had them at
knock the Bucks
8.
out of my top 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably replaced with the Bears.
And how do you feel about the Rams? Do you feel like they're a for sure top 3 team after a win like this?
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely moving the Rams.
Assuming they don't choke,
they could lose. To me, right now, my Eagles were number 1 last week. I'll probably move them to 3. I see the Rams as like a number 2 as of right now. And then
who's number 1?
We look at that.
First place teams.
Won, right?
The Seahawks just won, but the Rams just beat them last week. You could be a devious fellow, but we can have this discussion on Tuesday, which you'll all have to tune in for.
We indeed can.
A little preview for you guys. Glad we got to talk about every game so far this week. Was a really interesting week. Not quite as many top 10 altering games as there were last week, but there were a couple. Giants blow another fourth quarter lead. The Cowboys upset the Eagles in a 21-point comeback. The Bears staying in first place in the NFC North. Are they the best team in that division? The Patriots, can they survive losing Milton Williams and Will Campbell? We'll just have to see next week. So, guys, if you did enjoy the stream of the Illegal Formation Podcast, episode 20, don't forget to drop a like so other people like you can see these live streams after they go up as videos. And subscribe to The Pocket. Subscribe to That One Dude in my description. You'll see his channel, and you can go subscribe to him, where you'll see his uploads of these streams and his other uploads that he'll be doing. And stay tuned for, like I said, Tuesday, and then either Thursday or Friday for the weekly picks. This was a fun show this week, and that's all I got for this one. Guys, Dan, anything for the audience?
Guys, thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing out. Guys, listen, I'm in Philly right now. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm going to see how everybody's going to be pissed off for the rest of the week. But, hey, we're going to come back. It's Black Friday football against the Bears. We're going to do what we got to do. But, guys, appreciate you for showing up. Appreciate you guys for showing out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, we do this all the time. Stick with us. Thank you for sticking around. And I'm going to catch you on the next one.
Peace.